Mike's Daily Podcast.
It's all right. Thank you, Aunt Katrine. Welcome to the show that's called
Mike's Daily Podcast.
It's been a fun day, and it's gonna rain, and we need it here in California, but that's not really what I wanted to espouse upon. Expound words, talk, fun. That's all I had for my opening songs.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Uh-oh. Early evacuations ordered issued for the Santa Cruz Mountains. Yikes.
Mike's
So yes,
Daily
we're gonna get some rain
Podcast.
tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Or actually tomorrow morning. Sunday at 8 a.m. So by the time you hear this, you may find out what happened. Who knows? But there are evacuation orders for different zones near the ocean. I do not live by the ocean, but yes, that's the downfall of living by the ocean. I love going to the ocean. There are zones that are low-lying and at high risk for debris flow in Santa Cruz. The sheriff deputies went door to door today, notifying residents at those specified addresses. And yeah, that's what's happening. That's the price. What's a debris flow is as water runs downhill through burned areas, it can create major erosion and pick up a large amount of ash, silt, rocks, and burned vegetation. So yes, this isn't just by the ocean. The force of the rushing water and debris can damage or destroy all kinds of stuff, even miles away from burned areas. So we hope it's not going to be that bad, but apparently it looks like I got to do a little bit more cleaning around my house because a lot of leaves have fallen.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Since the last storm, and that can cause backup and problems. Hey, the podcast picture, and please ignore all my haze. I've been doing a lot of haze lately, and I feel like I'm in a Cajun band. Hey! We are on the bayou at the twist and shout. Oh, sorry, Basil. Basil doesn't like my singing. Basil, the late great Basil the boxer, who we love so dearly. Hey, I had somebody, the last podcast picture, they were saying, hey, you should interview that piggy guy with the pig face. I did not. He did try to scare me, and you know what he had in his hands? A chainsaw. So let's talk about that for a second, won't we? Might you join me as I like to discuss this little thing called haunted houses? Oh, I got a text. Somebody knew I was doing my podcast and said all right. People telling me stuff that I don't need to know with my text. Need to turn off my phone. Okay, here's the thing. When you're going through a haunted house, a scary place, that everybody's like, oh, you got to check it out. Oh, it's the best thing ever. Oh. You know, I've been watching Carpetbagger, and he's doing this. He loves dark rides, and he loves haunted houses. And I've watched a lot of them that he's done because he's doing this marathon thing. He started mid-December, or early September is what it was. Early September, and he's been going to night after night after night, going to all these different haunted houses across the country. But let me just say, it really breaks down to a couple of main scarers. And there's the kind that scream in your face. There's like a large woman that will like she's screaming and talking to you at the same time and saying, I chopped up everyone in my family. Okay, that's nice. Then there's this other one where you got a guy who's just kind of going, Rrr. And after a while, you get those two main things over and over again. Oh, and maybe a young lady who is doing that, I'm possessing me. And then you have some guys just screaming at you, which I can't do right now because that'll hurt my voice. But yeah. And okay, what I've noticed with Carpetbagger is he'll get scared by someone and he's moving through the ride, and that same person will come back and scare him again because maybe they realize who he is because he's got a popular YouTube channel. I don't know, but it's so... After a while, I don't know how he does it because it just gets so boring with all the scares. And yeah, you're going to get scared if someone screams at you from out of nowhere in the darkness. But that gets old so fast. So fast, eh? So that's... Oh, and then there are these people that, all the... And then I was talking about this on the podcast recently, is that I don't know how these actors in these things do it, these scarers, how they get that much energy and how they don't go hoarse night after night and how that's fun for them. I don't get any of that. But Cafe Anyway, there's so many haunted houses, these little makeshift houses. Some, well, they're not makeshift. Some are highly, highly thought out, and they take the whole year to figure it out, and they spend all this money on crazy props or they build them themselves. And yeah, okay, it's amazing, but it's just the scares are so, I don't know how he does it, the Carpetbagger. Night after night after night. And there are people... Oh, he went in this one, I think it's somewhere in Kentucky, where, if you go in a haunted house, they're not supposed to touch you. I don't know if there's a law against it, but theoretically, or maybe due to insurance reasons, they can't touch you. They can get in your face and scare you or, make your ears blow out because they're screaming in your face, but they can't physically touch you. And apparently there's a place in Kentucky where they can, and they warn you ahead of time that you're going to get touched. Yeah, that's weird. And that there's going to be obscenities. You're going to hear profanity when you're going through the haunted house. So right then and there, I'd probably be no. I don't have that big of a desire to be scared, and I have to see this. But he did it, and there are a lot of the scarers. They figure out who he is, and then they just keep talking to him and making up weird stuff. And yeah, this is a crazy time of year with the haunted houses, but not for me. All right. However, apparently what's also not for me is sitting in traffic. And that's not for you either, as we go outside a Cafe Anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Podcast Grove, Alleyton, the last place on earth. Sitting in traffic is the number one thing we're annoyed about coming back now that things are opening up. Now, a separate survey looked at how much time we save by not having to commute. The average employee has saved 252 hours by working from home and not having to drive into work every day. 252 hours, is that like 100 days or something? It's my quick little math. Wow. Wow shuts wow, as my mom used to say. Or you know what? I don't know if she ever said that, because I saw her recently and she didn't say that at all. So maybe I'm making that up. Maybe that's a thing we made up in our minds. Humphrey Bogart saying, "Play it again, Sam." He never says that. He says something kind of like that, but not that. All right. Let's see. What's this say here? 80% of people say that extra time has helped them accomplish more things. The top things we've been added to do more are exercise, get chores done, and learn new skills. Yeah, right. We're playing video games. We're watching stupid videos on YouTube like Carpetbagger. Sorry, Carpetbagger. And I'm so sorry you have to walk through those ridiculous haunted houses. We're coming up on the spookiest week of the year. It turns out some people are easier to scare than others. A recent study found that scary stories just don't work on some of us. It has to do with something called mind blindness. Scary stories that some people just don't find scary. Mind blindness. It's called aphantasia. It's when someone can't really picture things. We're learning all these weird words this week, aren't we? We learned about misophonia last night. Thanks to my lovely lady friend. That was a fun show. Go back and listen to that podcast. Oh, and did I mention the podcast picture was me waiting in line at the Six Flags over Texas? This was about less than 2 weeks ago. We went there. I was waiting in line to get on Batman, and oh, that ride made me sick. It hangs from above the roller coaster. So your feet are dangling. How my shoes stayed on my feet, I have no idea, because that really whips you around. So when you can't really picture things in your head, you got aphantasia. So if you have that, telling you a scary story and setting the scene just doesn't work that well. 1 in 20 people have it. Researchers recently told people scary stories. Half had mind blindness and half didn't. And they basically proved it's true. The scary stories didn't work on them, but scary images did. So it wasn't because they had a higher scare threshold in general. The stories just didn't paint a picture. So maybe that's why you're being screamed at those haunted things, because you pay money to be scared, and in order to scare you, they got to do that. Hey, we were talking about Santa Cruz a little earlier. Let's move a little further south. If you ever get to do the drive and you're in the Santa Cruz area, drive south a little ways, you'll hit Monterey. And there is a town called Gorda. Isn't that mean fat? Gorda. I had a friend in high school named Gordy, and he was not fat. However, as he got older, he got fatter. Interesting point. But hey, in Gorda, California, the cost of gasoline, a gallon, is $8.50. Okay, down in Union City, where I drive through every day to get to work, because yes, I am driving back. I'm not working from home anymore. On my way to work, I passed by a gas station where it is now $4.19. And in Podcastro Valley, I believe it's $4.30. But regular, and this I'm talking unleaded. So unleaded gas, in Gorda, is actually $8. No, wait, it's $7.59 per gallon. So $7.60. Gorda only has one gas station, with the next closest one 12 miles south. That's just price gouging. Those people should be arrested and fined. The average national price for gas right now, as of this recording of Mike's Daily Podcast, is $3.32 per gallon for unleaded. Now, I think in Texas I saw it at $2.87. So you heard about Alec Baldwin. One person was killed, another was seriously injured after a prop gun misfired on the set of an Alec Baldwin movie. It was Alec himself who fired the shot. The movie's called Rust. It was shooting at a ranch in New Mexico. A cinematographer was killed and the director was injured. Not much else is known at this point. The gun was supposedly loaded with blanks. By the time you hear this, there may be more details about that story, but it reminds me of John Eric Hexum in the 80s. He was this heartthrob, good-looking guy who was on the TV show called The Voyagers, I think. So they were like time travelers. And then he later got on a show that had to do with, I think he's a private investigator and a model at the same time. And I think it was on the set of that show that he, I think, was playing with a gun and it went off near his head and killed him. It was a prop gun. But yeah, in all of what we've been doing on movie sets, you remember a year ago when when the pandemic started, they shut down all filming of TV shows and movies. And then it slowly started to come back, and it was everybody had to be tested. Everybody, this is before the vaccine, everybody had to wear a mask. The actors had to be tested before they could do any on-set talking. And of course, if you saw any performances, well, there were no performances. Theater and everything got shut down. Remember that? Not that long ago, and a lot of people have forgotten already. because that's our society. We wipe the slate clean every morning, like 51st dates. It's crazy. So people are still working at home, though. There are a few. And there was an article that came out June of this year where they gave some suggestions. There's, if you are going back to the workplace, many workers hesitate to share their emotional stress with their employers, which creates a lot of pressure. Create a safe work environment if you do go back to work, where everyone can communicate openly and listen empathetically. Empathically is what I meant. This is best done by listening first to understand and then explaining to be understood. Yes, that's something we need more of in this world. Working from home can blur the boundaries between employees' work and personal lives. They say here that workers need to be encouraged to create a structured workday with a beginning and an end. Oh, if you're working from home, there's this thing called the Pomodoro technique, which involves a timer to break your day into short intervals, and that seems ridiculous to me. I did not like working from home. The first couple months was woohoo, and then you're like, wait, all this stress, I've brought all this stress home. All this stress is in my home. At least when you go to work, you can leave some of that stress psychologically at work. I find it really happens. You can leave, and I'm the type of person that holds on to stuff. I've got a amazing memory. I've got a memory like an elephant. I keep it all in my memory trunk. So there's some dad humor for you, even though I'm not a dad. I guess I'm a cat daddy. I was a dog daddy. But that's something, within the physical realm. You have a physical space, your office or your cubicle, and you put the stress there. You're like, okay, I'm done. I'm heading home. And then you fight the traffic and you go home and it gets buried until you wake up at 4 a.m, like I sometimes do, and go, oh gosh, that's what I left behind. That's what I'm going back to. But you need to find creative ways to connect at your workplace, one human to another. If you're working from home, making the virtual workspace more human. There's informal water cooler conversation. That's what this article says. Virtual coffee breaks. See, when you're actually back at work, you don't have to do it virtually anymore. You can actually stand there and talk to them, depending on how your workplace is. Are you all vaccinated? Are you all like some are, some aren't? Yes, welcome to today's world. Schedule check-in time with each team member. See, even when we were doing this at home, this was something important. Checking in. That's the one thing at home. You get so used to work, and then, I got to call. You can't just walk down the hall and talk to someone. You got to call them. And there's that added step. There's that added limit. And then younger people today, they don't like the phone. They're all about texting. But there's a very limited scope there that you can text. The faucet is very tiny. The flow gets restricted with the text, with the emails. Oh, so much gets lost in an email, and the wrong words come out, and people pick up on things that aren't there. It's ridiculous. So that's one good thing about the person-to-person, in-person stuff going back to work. Let's see. There's a bunch of other tips that this article makes, but this was written back in June, and now a lot of us are back to work here in October. Having a professional speak with your team about work-life stressors, such as the pandemic, can make a huge difference. At the very least, it shows that someone cares. A professional can help problem solve issues and provide practical strategies that may help members of your team cope. And this is from Faith Sanders, who is the founder of Discover a New Future, a professional and leadership training and consulting company. She says, as a professional trainer who has facilitated hundreds of these workshops, I can say they not only build connections and provide support among members of a team, but they also bring compassion back into the workplace. And I think I'm done with this Costco connection. Remember this article here about migraines we talked about? Yeah, okay, so this is done. I'm chucking it across the room. It's gone. Done. I mean, outside of Cafe Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, Podcastro Valley 10, I mean, look who's here. Right now. Oh, I didn't even mention okay. I am now looking at my website, mikesdailypodcast.com, and usually I mention who is going to be on the next podcast when I post a podcast blog at mikesdailypodcast.com, and I did not. I was supposed to say today, or for the next podcast, which is today, this is the thing you're listening to right now. You were going to have, let's see. Wow, I had the wrong people. I need to fix that. Because we talked to Madam Rutabaga yesterday. So look who's here now. Hello, Mike Matthews, it's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. Yeah, you're all confused and stuff. Yes, because last night we were discussing misophonia and how Bison Bentley, when he says that, do you know that thing? It's annoying. And misophonia talks about annoying things. Primarily, it's stuff that we don't really like, the lip smacking and gum chewing and that sort. But yeah, that's what we talked about. I know, Mike Matthews, I heard it. You don't have to talk about it again, because hearing it again gives me misophonia. Mike Matthews. It's a real medical condition. Don't make fun of it. Look who else is here. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Mike, I think some people don't like Floyd's voice either. That's really too bad. Floyd is such a great guy and very nice and kind to people. That's right, I really like that, and I don't like rides. Mike Matthews, don't take me into a haunted house, because I'm Floyd the Floorman. Excellent. Well, we will not take you into a haunted house. We won't make the Cafe Anyway a haunted house this year. We'll just leave it the way it is and just engage with each other in an audio sort of way, as podcasts are audio sort of things. And I think this podcast is in an audio sort of finished state. Yes. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster, I guess. Yeah, why don't we say that? Because I'm all confused. But don't forget that tomorrow morning from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. in the afternoon, Pacific time, you can hear me playing some fun music. And there's a link to where you can listen to that station at mikesdailypodcast.com if you'd like to chime in about anything we covered today. 336mm daily, that's 3 + 3 = 6. MM as in Mike Matthews, and daily as in what this podcast has been. Take us out a frame. That was episode 2321. That's episode 2321.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!